new and returning listeners to today's episode of the Black Business Roundtable. I am your host, Doug Blacksher, broadcasting to you live from the City of Diversity, Oakland, California. Today is a quick 1 hour show. So hang on, everybody. Hang on. A very special shout out to my sister and longtime co host that is helping out, supporting her lovely grandmother today. So we understand her being there for family. And audience, remember, be there for your family. It is important that we understand how the family dynamics work. And as our mothers, grandparents, aunts, aunties, as they move up in age, we give them the support that they need to be comfortable in their retirement and relaxing years. Dr. Ashley, we miss you and look forward to seeing you soon. So let's get started. Black Business Roundtable family. Audience, thank you for watching our anniversary show last week. And apparently, you enjoyed the clips posted on our several media from Dr. Ashley Coleman, catching us up on what she has been doing on her sabbatical. The show included Barack Obama Shaw running for the governor of California and is sharing what is political party. And this is very important. The ring of truth. Our politicians have forgotten what the ring of truth is, and some of them have a ring of a lie. Also, Allyssa Victory of Victory's Corner discussing Black Unity Council relaunch. Chandani Ramachandran, District 4, member discussing her no vote. Jennifer Esteen running for Alameda County Board of Supervisors. Hashtag Barack Obama 4, and that's the numeral 4, Governor, GOVCA. Hashtag Victory 4, and that's FOR, Oakland. Hashtag Janani 4, and that's FORCA. Hashtag Team Esteem. Hashtag Ring of Truth. See clips on our Instagram or Facebook page. I want to be sure that although Dr. Ashley is out today, we continue to stress the importance of mental health. Dr. Ashley would want all of you to remember these important contacts. If you are feeling overwhelmed, distressed, suicidal, depression, please, please call our 988 is the suicide and crisis lifeline and available 24/7. That's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They can also accept text or chat. Women in our audience looking for a therapist. www Therapy for Black Women. Once again, women in our audience looking for therapy. That's therapy for Black, and that's FOR, blackgirls.com. And men in our audience looking for a therapist. That's www Therapy for, and that's FOR, blackmen.org. Our sincerest, our sincerest thank you, as always, to Mr. Donnie Glover of blackusa.news. Once again, blackusa.news for the honor, Donnie Glover, the honor of Black Business Roundtable being a part of your growing network dedicated to bringing the real, unfiltered news before the news. Hashtag Black USA news. Hashtag Donnie Glover, YouTube/Donnie Glover. The Black Business Roundtable update. If you need to know what's going on in America and Black America, you tune in. So this month, I'm giving a thumbs up to the Community Policing Advisory Board, which meets once a month, the first Wednesday of each month, to discuss issues in the city of Oakland that directly affects our safety, our businesses, and our residents. Right now, Oakland is being plagued. Yes, we're being plagued with violence, crime, and other issues that affect the quality of life. And me and my partner just recently had an incident in downtown Oakland on 26th and Broadway, where I was visiting a local store and my partner was in the car and she called me and said, "Hey, don't get an item." And then she became frantic. I heard in her voice a sound that I had not ever heard before. And that sound was, "Hey, they're breaking into cars. There's two, the second car in front of me, they're looking in it, and there's a car that has backed down the street, and men are in ski masks." I said, "What?" And she said, "Oh my God, they're coming for us. They're coming for our vehicle." I dropped the items at the desk, at the counter in which I was purchasing these items from. I came running out and I saw a gentleman with a ski mask running to the walking to the car and was going to break in. And audience, let me be clear. I'm 60 years old, so I don't do a lot of running. But I was so uh, 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 overwhelmed. The adrenaline was going. I came running out of the store across traffic, and the person in the ski mask saw me running like a teenager or 20-year-old. Can you imagine that? And they jumped in the car and left. My partner and I were so much in dismay that we couldn't believe it. But getting back on the Community Policing Advisory Board, I humbly ask that you Google the Oakland Community Policing Advisory Board and please become a member. And what I mean a member, join the meeting. The Oakland Police Commission, from my understanding, is dealing with uh, uh, I would say membership issue. So we're going to work with the Community Policing Advisory Board and make sure that we support them. In addition to that, the Oakland East Bay Democratic Club meets every first Saturday of each month at 10 a.m. And you can go on my webpage or you can Google Oakland East Bay Democratic Club. Chef Michenet, a few shout outs to my sister, Chef Michenet. We have gone by her restaurant. And let me be clear, folks, it is going to be an amazing spot. Chef Michenet is hosting Chef Michenet. We want to thank you for hosting our anniversary at her soon to be open restaurant, Willows and Pine. And the restaurant is 3525 Fruitvale Avenue, Oakland County, California, for her grand opening. We will keep you posted in regards to the grand opening. We want to have, we want to make sure that you come by and get some of the great food that has been keeping me healthy for the last year. We will keep you posted, and we want to let you know patronizing Black businesses is important. Patronizing Black businesses is important. Show special guest returning to the Black Business Roundtable, our bi-weekly half-hour segment at 4:30 with Allyssa Victory Esquire. Victory's Corner. Hashtag Victory for, and that's FOR, Oakland. Continuing the conversation on Black Unity Council relaunch, the Supreme Court decision of on affirmative action and school board election. Now, let's be clear, audience. We have many people in this country who feel that we don't need affirmative action, who feel that Black people are equitable and have the same opportunity as many people, specifically of European descent, have had. And that is not true. There continues to be racism, discrimination, and lack of understanding that this country is falling backwards instead of jumping forward. So, our Victory's Corner is going to discuss that in detail. A few guests may be stopping by with quick updates as well. And stay tuned this summer for more of our Black Business Roundtable thumbs up and thumbs down, giving you the good and bad locally and nationally. Thumbs up and thumbs down. Brother Marcus Flowers of Georgia and Mission Democracy. Check out his Instagram at Miss MIS N capital N Democracy. Hashtag Miss in Democracy, and give him a follow. We need to make sure that we understand that democracy is under attack in this nation. And until we realize that and address that, we're going to have a bombardment of attacks on our democracy. Thumbs down, the 16 fake electors. And let's be clear, the 15 fake electors charged in the state of Michigan. Hashtag fake electors don't receive thumbs down in hashtag the town. Do better. Do better. You are welcome. You're welcome to come and talk with us about it and make it right. Hashtag BBRT Naughty List. Hashtag BBRT Naughty List 2023. Audience, I want to be clear here today. I have been feeling under the weather for the last 2 to 4 weeks. I have visited my doctor who has prescribed one serious thing that I'm taking serious. Take care of yourself. Take time out for yourself. Work on yourself. Get out of the frying pan and smell the roses. Learn to and learn that if you're not healthy, how can you help others? So, to that end, take time for yourself, take a break, breathe the flowers, the roses. It's okay to say, hey, I got to step back. It's okay to say, I need me time. It's okay to love ourselves. To that end, guest today, we are hoping to get a quick update from Janani Ramachandran to talk about the mayor of Oakland asking for a $75,000 raise. Yes, a $75,000 raise. I'm truly disheartened with that request, considering that child care workers make a fraction of that, $30,000 a year. I'm concerned, very concerned. Next guest, Allyssa Victory of Victory's Corner. Instagram at Victory's Corner 4, and that's FOR Oakland. Hashtag Victory for Oakland. Next guest, hoping that we will get him today. I had a conversation with him today. He's coaching a football team in Oakland, California. And this is why this man has demonstrated time and time again his commitment to his family, his neighborhood, his community, to the city of Oakland, County of Alameda, state of California, and to the United States of America. Ray Bobbitt has demonstrated that he wants America to grow, and especially Black America. Ray Bobbitt of the African American Sports and Entertainment Group, working to be the first Black owned NFL team in not just America, in the world. In the world. Ray Bobbitt, you have our support here on the Black Business Roundtable, on blackusa.news/Donnie Glover. And I'm sure Donnie Glover and all of Black America, we support your endeavors. It is time that Black Americans start ascertaining businesses that will hire people who look like me and Dr. Ashley. We look forward to supporting the African American Sports and Entertainment Group owning the first NFL team in not just the nation, but the world. So let's also remember, check in to their website. Let them know that you support them. Drop an email of support. We need to own our own businesses. We need to hold accountable those white businesses who will take our money but demonstrate racist, vile behavior to people of color, specifically African American. So let's keep in mind, when you go out and spend your dollars in America, who are you spending those dollars with? And what are they doing with those dollars? Please remember, please remember, are you fueling the fight for racism or against racism? Check out our other network shows hosted by the man, the unapologetically bold newsman. And I'm going to read that again. I'm going to say it again. Check out our other network shows hosted by the man, the unapologetically bold newsman, Mr. Donnie Glover of BlackUSA.News Morning Show. Donnie Glover Show, People Over Politics, Political Cipher, Data Mall Says, I like that one, Data Mall Says, Community Connections, Resources and Gardening, The Robier Report, Shared Spaces, Frontline News, Troy Rawling Show, The Beverly Smith Show, and stay tuned as many, stay tuned as many Black USA.News is always looking for great podcast hosts that give. Oh, look at that. I see. Oh, let me wrap this up. Uh, Great podcast shows that give our audience news perspective. Audience, she has taken time out of her extremely busy day as she, Honorable, the Janani Ramachandran, voted against a $75,000 raise for the mayor of Oakland. And I have to say, Janani, it takes bold people like you who understands we have common people here in Oakland who are suffering. But I'm going to stop there because I know your time is short. Audience, the Honorable Council Member of District 4 in Oakland, California, the Honorable Janani Ramachandran. I'm going to turn it over to you, my sister. Tell our audience why you voted no for a 75. Some people don't even make $75,000 a year.
You know
Light
who?
it up, sister.
You know who doesn't make
You must be
$75,000?
on mute.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Hello. Hello.
Oh, you're there. It was me.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that kind introduction. I'll start off by saying, catching on what you said, which is we have 545 City of Oakland employees who do not make $75,000 a year, let alone the rest of Oakland where people are struggling on minimum wage on $15, $16 an hour. We have employees within the city of Oakland not making that kind of money. So what I proposed at the finance committee meeting the week prior was not to give the mayor the maximum allowable raise, but instead to give the minimum amount required by the charter as it is right now. Unfortunately, at that finance committee meeting, I was the only council member who voted no on the $75,000 raise. I said we can increase by a small amount to keep us in compliance with the charter that says you have to raise the mayor's salary every such and such amount of time, in such and such amount. But to me, this is not the time or place to be seeking out a $75,000 raise for several reasons. First, our fiscal climate. We just passed a budget where we dealt with a financial deficit of $360 million. We made so many cuts to essential services, to staff positions, or so many more. And in this kind of environment, it is not the right time to be granting such high of a pay raise. Thankfully, and I will say that I am thrilled with the outcome. The combination of a lot of public pressure following that vote on the committee meeting led council to agree with my original proposal, which was to give the minimum allowable increase that we have to and not the maximum amount. And honestly, this is so much credit to the people of Oakland who really were united on this front and truly spoke. And it made me feel validated in that the no vote, the singular no vote that I cast a week ago, was reflective of the will of the people. Council members received hundreds, if not, frankly, almost in the thousands of emails and calls from constituents from all over who were against it. Yes, Doug.
Janani, let me tell you something. That is why I supported you then and I support you now. Our politicians, some of them, in this situation, we have child care workers who make less than half of that.
Mm-hmm.
And you want a $75,000 a year raise. I supported Shane. I endorse Shane, but I do not support a $75,000 a year raise, and this city is in turmoil. So I wanted to put that on the record. Please continue, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. So ultimately, we were able to pass what I had hoped for, and the mayor agreed with that and made a statement that day. And now the bigger issue is revising the charter. The charter language requires the city of Oakland to compare the mayor's salary to the salaries of 6 similarly populated cities in California, and to compare not mayor to mayor, but mayor to city manager. That's beyond comparing apples to bananas. That's comparing apples to grapefruits at this point, when we're comparing the role of a mayor, which is an elected role, a technical role, and very different from that of a city manager, to that of city managers in 6 cities that frankly have nothing to do with Oakland. The 6 cities included Anaheim, Bakersfield, Fresno, Sacramento, Long Beach, Stockton. And and just for context, none of those cities experienced a financial deficit in the way that Oakland has. So the comparisons that the charter is asking us to make is flawed. So what I had put forth is a request to review the charter, to possibly set up an independent charter review commission, or otherwise explore our options about how we change this formula that is not working clearly. Unfortunately, my colleagues were not open enough to exploring all of these different options about how we revise the charter, and specifically wanted the Public Ethics Commission to be the one looking at this. Now, I served on the Public Ethics Commission, and I firmly do not believe it is the right body to be reviewing the salary of our mayor, or frankly, any other elected official. There are so many wonderful things that the Public Ethics Commission has the power to do and does, but this is not one of them.
Let me ask you this, as we are going to have the Victory's Corner coming on and shortly. What is your background and your educational training that I believe weighs heavily into our audience understanding that a $75,000 raise, and you've only been in office for 6 months? Thank you.
I am an attorney. I graduated from Berkeley Law, and I am proud to still be licensed, thankfully. And I defer. I defer to the guidance of our city attorneys in the city. I'm not practicing law in my capacity here. However, my understanding of the law certainly guides many of my decisions. So when we're asked, who fault, have you read the charter language? When I'm told mistruths and lies, that saying, oh, this salary increase was required, or when there's things that are thrown at me that are not factually true, just know that I do the research to determine whether or not it is true.
Let me say this, Janani, I support you. I support the decision that you, the only person on city council, stood behind against giving the mayor of Oakland that crime has ravished, has almost destroyed the safety of its residents, of the businesses in the city. And I commend you so much for standing powerfully in your position and saying, this is not right. We have many, many issues in Oakland. And the mayor of Oakland getting a $75,000 raise is not something that should be on the board at this time. So you keep up the good work.
Thank you.
You and our Victory's Corner, she's not on yet, but can you briefly tell us some of the great things that you're doing in your district that is playing in the broader scheme for the city of Oakland? Thank you.
I actually have to run now.
Oh, okay, okay.
I apologize, but I just want to say thank you. And, I just want to end by saying there's positivity on the horizon because, yes, I was the lone no vote the first time it came up to in front of us on the committee. However, we were able to convince the rest of the council. And I say we because it really was the power of public pressure and public opinion that got us to this point. So I want to say thank you to all of those who spoke their mind and supported my no vote so that we got what we wanted into existence. So thank you so much, Doug, for all that you do. And next time, I would love to spend more time talking about the positive things we're working on for our district and all of Oakland.
Well, I see Allyssa Victory here. So let me just say this. It's people like you. It's people like you that's going to make Oakland come back to the city, the great city it used to be. And for the mayor of Oakland, who I endorse, I want you to remember one thing. Gene Kwan. And Mayor Gene Kwan was a one-term mayor. Janani Ramachandran, we look forward to having you back on the show again. City council person and just outstanding person. And my friend, who I was out there with my doggy, you remember,
Knocking
walking
on
the street.
doors.
Yes. We look forward to having you back on the show. Have a great day, and thank you for coming on today.
Thank you.
Audience, that is Janani Ramachandran, City Council member for District 6. And we will not hesitate to bring on Victory's Corner. Allyssa Victory. You know what? Audience. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great.
Audience, I want to say that I'm going to immediately turn this over to Allyssa Victory because she has some great things she wants to share with us. But Janani Ramachandran, Allyssa Victory, these are the type of young people who are practicing attorneys, who have studied the law. And Allyssa Victory, please tell us a brief background, and then I want to let you light this up. I'm going to take my face off this stage, and I want you to tell our audience what is going on in Oakland, California, and the great things that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Peace to everybody. Thank you for watching, and to those who will tune in later. I'm Allyssa Victory. I am an attorney that hosts Victory's Corner. I also ran for Oakland mayor in the 2022 cycle, making history. I was the youngest candidate, a grassroots candidate who placed 4th out of 10. I talked a lot about some of my journeys, my uphill battles of being a first-time candidate in that race. But very happy to see other Oakland elected officials like Councilmember Ramachandran coming to address the Black Business Roundtable. Victory's Corner is really about updating you all about what's going on in Oakland and locally, how you can get involved and engage in some of our politics and how it's affecting Black business and economics. One of the things that I've been talking about recently is the launch of the Black Unity Council. The Black Unity Council is a relaunch of the 1966 organization that was founded with a lot of our faith leaders, civic leaders like Ron Dellums. They focused on things like education, Elections, civic engagement. They raised money and talked about issues like contractor disparity issues for Black workers and contractors. Sounds very similar to a lot of the issues that are still happening in Oakland that I've been discussing on Victory's Corner. But the Black Unity Council is really about creating a space for an internal conversation among Black residents, workers, and businesses. We've got to get on the same page before we can make demands to our electeds, to our budget, to a larger system that has power to make those changes. If we're divided, a lot of those leaders may be hesitant, may walk things back and feel attacked if all Black folks are not agreeing. And this is really hard work, and it's constant work that needs to happen. I've done a lot of organizing on racial justice and building Black unity, especially Black and Afro community. And so this space is really important to me to help relaunch so that we have, again, a space to gather, for us to talk, for us to share basic information about civic engagement, about elections. And we've launched really focusing on high school students and formerly incarcerated people. And so this past maybe 6 weeks, we've had students this summer who have been doing voter registration every day at public spaces like libraries, youth centers, different community events, making sure that people are just registered, that they know how to register, that they have voter reg forms in their language that they need, that they know when the upcoming elections are and how our elections work here in the city of Oakland. We have a special school board election that's coming up for District 5, which is Fruitvale all the way to around High Street, brushing up against District 6, which starts at around Coliseum. But District 5 has a vacancy right now, so there is no representative making decisions, making budgetary allocations, and advocating for all the students, families, and public schools that are in District 5. So there's been a special school board election set for November 7th. Our students, Black Unity Council volunteers, have been making sure people just know, are you registered to vote in District 5? If so, you're going to be eligible to vote in this special but really critical election. Our school board has been tied on a lot of things recently, and they have only 6 members. So this person will round the board out to 7. That can help make a lot more decisions and push things forward. There's a lot of issues going on with education across the country. I mentioned the last time that we saw the decision come down around affirmative action, striking it down at the Supreme Court level. That's a tax on access to education for people who have been historically disadvantaged, including Black Americans. I see you got some comments to say. Go ahead, Doug.
I have one quick comment because the candidate who the election was stolen from. Can you briefly talk about Mr. Mike Hutchinson, who I have known for over a decade and who is a staunch advocate for people of color having access to education opportunities? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So Mike Hutchinson is a name you may have heard. He ran for school board several times on a strong platform of really centering students, of being a public servant that is accountable to the people who elect him. He is a Black Oaklander who was born and raised in the city, whose mother is an educator and has done a lot of education advocacy work in her own career. And so Mike was elected back in 2020. Actually to District 4, to the District 5 seat. But Oakland went through something called redistricting. So they changed the boundaries of the 7 city districts. And in that process, his boundary got changed and he got moved into District 4. And so he was already elected. He had basically a choice to continue to serve out the rest of his 2-year term in the District 5 seat, but then be considered ineligible to run for the seat again because he now lives in District 4. Instead, there was a District 4 school board election in November 2022, last year. Mike decided to run for that seat to start a full new term in the district where he now lives based on the redistricting lines. It was a contested race, highly contested. It was him running against a sister named Picolia Manigo, and oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the third candidate's name, Nick. I know their name was Nick. I'll have to come back to you on the last name. But there are 3 candidates. There was a lot of debates. There was a lot of discussion. There were a lot of endorsements and money going all different ways. There was some ranked choice messaging and strategy, because again, this was a ranked choice election where all voters had a chance to put 5 choices, even though this specific particular school board election only had 3 candidates. When the votes were counted, it was declared that Nick was the winner, that Mike was the first person cut, then Picolia, and then that left Nick to be the winner. However, the registrar did some recalculations and found its own error, admitted its error, made it public, contacted the candidates, let them know that actually Mike had won, that he should not have been the first cut, Picolia should have been the first cut, and it actually transferred enough votes for Mike to win by around 40 votes. So every vote matters. It is very critical, especially when it comes down to really small percentage points and differences. Those differences can change rankings, can change the entire outcome of elections. There was some litigation and some other debates in ensuring that there were no further clerical errors in the ballot counting, and Mike was declared the winner of the District 4 school board election. He was inaugurated at the beginning of this year, and he was actually elected to be president of the school board. And so that then left the vacancy in the District 5 seat that he just left. So he is still on the school board, now representing District 4 instead of 5. District 5 needs a representative now. And that's why a school board election has been called for November 7th, so that voters don't have to wait 2 more years without having a representative on the school board.
Well, let's be clear here, audience. We have not just in Oakland, California, in the county of Alameda, in the state of California, all across the United States, how important it is to be involved in school board elections, Oakland City Council elections, mayor elections, Alameda County Board of Supervisor elections, which I'm going to give her a plug. Jennifer Esteen, I am her team, and other local elections across city, county, and state. Thank you. Thank you very much, Allyssa.
Thank you. So yes, 2024 is going to be jam-packed with elections at every level, including the presidential election. There's going to be a lot of candidates campaigning to you, asking you for money, asking you to volunteer, a lot of forums. So really start to think about now. Start to look at candidates who are launching now, who are putting out a clear message of who they are and inviting you to get to know them, to join their campaigns. There's going to be a lot of contested elections, and excitingly, a lot of these elections are seeing more Black women, more grassroots candidates, working class candidates that are coming into the fold. People who are not, from political families or from political party leadership. People who are working class and everyday residents are inspired to run, are inspired to take leadership and at least jump in the race and be a part of the conversation during the candidacy. And so it's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot more that I'm going to be bringing to you all. Right now, I'm just trying to remind you all there's a special school board election, and that is only for District 5 in Oakland for the school board seat. It will be ranked choice. Right now, I'm only aware of one candidate, but the filing period has not yet closed. The Black Unity Council is again continuing to do our voter registration and empowerment, especially of young voters and of formerly incarcerated voters. Alameda County is now committing to implement Oakland Youth Vote by the 2024 cycle. That is really exciting news, and I really hope it was still done by this November, but 2024 is still giving us hope that we can engage our 16, 17-year-olds to actually vote and cast ballots in our school board elections, as well as undocumented families who also attend our public schools and rely on those same services. The Black Unity Council is going to be tabling this Saturday, 11 a.m., at Youth Uprising, which is on 87th and MacArthur, right next to the Castlemont campus in Oakland. It's going to be a huge Black community market that's put on by the Home Place Collective. So there's going to be youth performing, there's going to be vendors, there's going to be food, and there's also going to be a back to school giveaway hosted by a lot of different organizations and leaders. So please bring your families, bring your kids, come and get some of the free giveaways, come and support some of the vendors at the marketplace, support the youth who are performing. And if you are not registered to vote, stop by our table, get some information, or at least pick up a voter form to share with somebody else. I also encourage you all to get involved in some of the public safety discussions. There's going to be one at Montclair Presbyterian Church next Thursday, the 27th, and it is in person only. It's going to feature different criminal justice leaders, including police department staff and our district attorney, Pamela Price. And so it's important that people actually see their electeds, see the people that are serving them in their cities, in their counties, that they attend these forums, not just talk to folks online. A lot of those folks don't even live here and are just trying to create a certain narrative. The best source of information is direct. And so go and talk to people yourself, ask them, read their policies, read their records for yourself. And Black Unity Council is trying to, again, help people get that information, help people know who is their elected, who is my city council person, right? Who is my school board person? What district do I even live in? We have basic information at our table, helping people just find their city council district, helping them find their supervisory district. And that's going to be critical to any candidate or campaign that is trying to engage our folks, that we still have to meet them where they're at. Some of these are first-time voters. Some of these have been disenfranchised voters. Some of these folks have been told that they don't have anything to vote for and nothing will ever change. And so there is a lot of work to do to just get people to want to take that step, to want to go to the ballot box in November, to want to register and even receive their ballot. So there's a lot of kind of pessimism around what our leadership is doing and how much they can change. And so part of it definitely has to be about us building as a community ourselves, putting out work ourselves and making each other stronger together, putting out a strong vision of what we need from our electeds, but also talking to our electeds and holding them accountable, knowing who they are. If you don't like what they're doing, right, vote them out, but you got to be registered to do that. You've got to know your voting rights and your civic rights to be able to do that properly. There's going to be, again, a lot of issues that are coming up. We still want to center people who are coming into this political process for the very first time.
Well, let's be clear here, audience. Allyssa Victory over the last year has enlightened us on many, many, many important issues that concerns public safety, that concern community safety, that concern increasing opportunities in the city that we live in the communities that we live in, in the neighborhoods that we live in. And since we're only doing an hour show, we know how important it is and how precious it is to have the voting rights. Can you briefly educate our audience on returning residents having their opportunity, their right to vote, and that changes elections? Can you educate our audience briefly? Thank you.
Yes. So in 2020, California voters passed a statewide measure that restored the right to vote for people who were on parole. There was thousands of folks, estimated around 10,000, that were still, on surveillance, basically, who had been released, but still had some type of supervision, and they were not eligible to even register to vote. People in jails who are just being held in jails, they're allowed to register inside the jails. The public defenders and other nonprofits do a lot of work to make sure they can actually register and get their ballots and know when elections are happening. People who were on probation were able to vote, but this now allowed parolees the right to vote, people who were convicted of felonies, people considered ex-felons. And so a lot of folks wear that as a title. And I see when they come to our table, they say, I can't vote. And I'll ask them why. They say, I'm ex-felon. And I said, well, you can vote. right? As long as you're out of prison, you are able to vote. And a lot of folks are so ecstatic, right? Some of these people are coming out of prison after 10, 20, 30 years. Some of these folks went in when they were youth, before they were even eligible to vote in terms of voting age. That again, they've never voted or had that rights or that ability. They've never been taught or seen what a ballot looks like, right? They've never been to a candidate forum or a debate. And so restoring the right to vote was a critical move that the entire state took. So it's not just Oakland, not just Alameda County, but every person in California. It does not matter if you are formally incarcerated for misdemeanor, felony, as long as you are formally incarcerated, right? You've been released. Doesn't matter if you're still serving any type of supervision, you are eligible to register to vote. In other states, it is a crime for people who are ex-felons to register to vote. So again, it just recriminalizes people who are trying to engage in their own society, in their own democracy, and make decisions about housing, criminal justice, healthcare, all the things that people who are returning from incarceration really need and rely on. And even our youth, a lot of our youth get blamed for crime and other things that are happening. Again, our youth need to be able to have a voice in the decision makers and the resources that are being given to them, because they're being blamed for a lot of the problems. And so we don't want them to turn into formerly incarcerated people. Helping people register to vote, especially at a young age, makes them lifelong voters. Again, helps them be involved and understand their city governments, their whole political structures around them, and can make them lifelong engaged in what is happening.
Well, audience, as we wrap this up, Allyssa Victory has dedicated her life to enriching and empowering all people.
All power to the people, right?
If we do not have people understanding how democracy works, then we are in tyranny. We have a society that is run by the wealthy and people who have no concern of all people. Allyssa Victory, let me be clear here as I say this. We are honored on the Black Business Roundtable on blackusa.news/Donnie Glover network of shows to have you educating. And let's be clear, people, when you talk to formerly incarcerated individual, refer to this show and Allyssa Victory's Corner, because if we had more elected officials like Allyssa Victory, we would have a democracy that is reflective of all people. Allyssa, you have our support. You know you got my support, but you
Yeah.
have our support. And as Johnny said so eloquently, when the mayor asked for a $75,000 a year raise, we have healthcare workers who make less than half of that. And
Teachers, other
excuse me.
essential workers, absolutely.
So your input today has been invaluable. And we thank you for coming on the show today. We look forward to seeing you in the next couple of weeks. Audience, Allyssa Victory of Victory's Corner.
Thank you all for
Allyssa,
watching. Thank you so much for having me. Again, come out and check out our event this Saturday, 11, criminal justice event next Thursday. Also, stay tuned because we will be having an event with formerly incarcerated folks at Reentry Housing on voter registration and education in Oakland.
audience, your vote is your power. We may not be able to change things on a national level, but we can improve the quality of life in our community, and following and listening and having leaders like Allyssa Victory out there with the flag of democracy and people power first. We love
Yes.
you, Lisa. Thank you, and continue your great work. We see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you so much. Have a great night, y'all.
Audience, as we move forward today, understanding how the system works, I want you to remember, vote, 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 and check your city, county, state rules and regulations on returning residents having the privilege and the opportunity to vote. To that end, check out our other network shows hosted by the man, the unapologetically bold newsman, Mr. Donnie Glover of BlackUSA.News Morning Show. The Donnie Glover Show. People over politics. Political cipher. Date 'em all, sis. And I'm going to read that again. Date 'em all, sis. Community connection, resources and gardening, the Robert Report, shared spaces, frontline news, Troy Rawlings Show, the Beverly Smith Show, and stay tuned as Black USA News is always looking for great podcast hosts that give audience and give our audience news perspective. Also, please listen to the backstory of Carlton and continue to share his hashtag Stand with Carlton of Raleigh, North Carolina, NC. So I'm going to read that again. Hashtag Stand with Carlton of Raleigh, NC. That stands for North Carolina 2022. Also, share the hashtag Driving While Black, Michael Thrash, Taylor County TX. Justice for Enzo. Please register your pet or pets as hopefully they can be returned if they unfortunately go for an unauthorized walk without you, as it isn't this what our paid fees are for. And audience, we appreciate your support. I want to give a shout out to the person who is behind the scenes of the Black Business Roundtable. She puts this together out of her own time. Her efforts, her work, her journalism skills are invaluable. And I appreciate you. And you know who I'm talking about. We appreciate you. Thank you. Our guest today, Janani Ramachandran, the Honorable Janani Ramachandran, councilperson of District 4, who voted against a $75,000 raise for a mayor who's only been in office for 6 months. Allyssa Victory of A Victory's Corner, and Allyssa, continue to do the hard work that is needed to enlighten and enrich our community, educate our people on why it is important to vote, and people who are returning residents who have the privilege to vote. As we wrap up our Thursday episode, I want to say thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you Thursday, every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the BlackUSA.News Network and on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you, audience, for tuning in. And remember, together we can listen, we can learn, and we can share, because I know you care. This is Doug Blacksher and Dr. Ashley Coleman, returning soon, of the Black Business Roundtable. God bless. Good night. We'll see you.